This episode is brought to you by Target Corned Beef and Naturally Almond. Parenting is an adventure, and like any other adventure, you've got to work hard and be prepared.
The quest is on.
We're in search for all things parenting. We hear from the kids, from the professionals, and from you, real parents on real issues. It's all happening right here, right now on Care.
Care, the adventures of parenting.
Hi, welcome to Care. Happy New Year! Can I be cliche and say, I haven't seen you since last year? We're going to start the year off the best way, well, I know how, financially free. And to help us get there, we have two handsome guys.
Oh, thank you very much.
We have Roger Moore. Roger Moore is a financial trainer. He heads one of the top groups internationally, Rich Dad, Poor Dad groups. He's going to tell us all about it. We have Andre Worrell. Andre is from Guardian Media family. He is the co-creator of Beyond Payday, one of my favorite features coming out of Guardian.
Thank you.
And he is the head of business.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Did I mention they're handsome? Guys,
Too much. Right.
I'm too much?
You're too much.
I'm too much. Can never be too much. Can never be too much.
No, you can never be too
No, we can't. Before we get into the topic, I try to lead the way by asking folks on the street what their take on things are. Just so we can get an idea what the man on the street feels and how far off, how close, how much work we have. Today's topic, what I asked them was, what does pay yourself first mean to you?
Right.
You ready to hear what they said?
Sure.
Let's have parenting views. What does pay yourself first mean to you?
That is simply ensure that you're good before you are able to take care of anybody else in terms of parenting. That's what I think.
Pay myself first. Is that after, like, in terms of monthly salary, you make sure that you take care of, to me, my needs first. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pay as you earn.
Thank you.
Pay yourself first is a kind of a selfish statement, really, right? Where you actually seek to see about yourself first and see about other people, right? And we are in this world and not here to really see about ourselves first, but to really see about other people, and then we help ourselves in the process.
I don't know that question. Can't answer that question.
No way, Marsha. That really?
Those were real.
Really?
In fact, we interviewed about 12 people. I only showed a few because no one got it right, obviously. The best person was the coconut vendor who at least just said, I don't know.
Wow.
What struck out at me was how confidently everyone answered.
Right. Even if they didn't know.
Well, because it means that you don't know what you don't know.
True.
So
So
it
what's your
shows how much-
understanding of it?
My understanding of it is that you should save first, right? You pay yourself means to pay your bank account. Take it and put it aside first, which, I mean, is what I've always done. That I'm a saver, maybe too much so. Since I've been working since I'm 18, I've always put aside money.
Excellent.
I've never looked at it as like money to go and get now,
Yeah, yeah.
But actually, I mean, because people are gonna say, because in my Old Years Night episode, I actually did say that, I mean, I have no savings left. Right? But that was because I left my job 5 years ago.
Right.
And it was because I had such a habit of saving that I was able to, before 30, say, right, I'm done with the corporate world. I'm going off on my own. I have enough of a buffer that, we all know when you go off on your own, it don't happen overnight.
Exactly.
So, I was able to live off of my savings, and I had 5 years worth of it before I went, okay, we're going to go homeless. Something needs to happen. Something needs to happen. And that was really because of that culture of, it was standing orders. So I didn't even trust You know,
Excellent.
me going and like, it was a standing order every month.
Great.
That was that.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it was gone. There was nothing. When you check your bank balance, it's not there.
And
I've
funny enough, a
left it alone.
lot of self-employed people make that mistake as well. They don't put aside a salary for themselves, or they don't pay themselves. They don't
Right.
record it and put it aside before they start paying the expenses and paying their workers and everything.
Right,
It's a
yes.
classic mistake made in business all the time.
Right. Well, yes, and from an investment point of view, it is putting back into your business and whatnot. I try to teach that to my daughter. So, Roger and I have a bit of a history. We're now coming up with our. Don't worry.
Walk me there slow.
Slowly. Okay, I will. So my 7-year-old, I mean, she has a group of companies now, right? Her first business was
She's
like
like
5.
a mini mogul.
Boy, I feel like she not many now.
Major mogul.
Yeah, she
Did,
teaches
did she
me.
make your jewelry?
She did not. She usually does. This one is not her. This one is jewelry that I bought. But she has made for quite a few of my shows. And let me tell you, she goes when my father would say, "Your mother paid you for this jewelry," and she says, "No, daddy, no, grandpa. It's because mommy mentions it on television, so that's good marketing." yeah.
Excuse me.
And so she understands all of that already.
Savvy.
Yeah. So I try to explain to her
Grew
about.
up so fast, Marsha.
Well, that's good. Like growing up, though, you know, making money. I don't pay for anything for her, right?
Right.
Yeah, you want something, you have to make money. So she's been in newsroom hustling jewelry and saying, oh yeah.
Because funny enough, making money is a lot of fun.
It is,
Yeah.
it is, and that's so. Those are the kinds of things I try to teach her. And then, of course, I have to. We do envelopes, which is what I did in the beginning. When I was not earning a lot of money, I used to withdraw my whole salary, and I had envelopes. And I would put it into envelopes. That's what I did in the beginning. And so I do it with her now. So I say, okay, if you make $100, we'll split it up. So, you have to go and buy back stuff for your business because mommy ain't buying your material anymore. That was your seed money, which I took back. I ain't ashamed to say I took it back. And so we go through all of that. So as you say, like a lot of investors don't remember. You need to take it and put some back.
Yeah. But have you ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad
I
personally?
did. I'm trying to remember if that was my first or my last. Or I read that, might be about 15 years ago. I read that one because he then has Cash Flow Club.
They talk about cash flow, yeah.
But he has a cash flow book after.
Cash flow quadrant, yes.
Cash flow, right?
Yeah, which is
I
actually
read that
this thing right here with employees, self-employed, business
So I
owners, and
read that
investors.
one as well. I read that. One of the ones that I found was pretty good too was not by Robert Kiyosaki. In fact, I wanted to meet him. I remember that being one of my goals back in the day. Richest Man in Babylon. Have you guys ever read that?
It's a great book.
I feel like that is it's a boring book. It's
But
pretty slow paced. But I think
principles of it
I think it's a
fundamental.
good one for like the family person, the employee mindset, that
But
kind of thing.
what makes this Rich Dad Poor Dad stand out and why it's so important for people to read it especially during recession, is that they have a different definition of what an asset is, which is completely opposite to what they learn in accounting and what they learn in our school system.
You are right. It was actually because of that book that I sold my house, and I had decided. And a lot of people go, "So when are you going to buy back a house?" And a lot of people thought that was the worst decision in the world. It was the worst decision in the world. It was the worst decision in the world. How can you sell your house? How can you sell your house? And I'll go, because a house is not actually an asset. It actually costs me money.
Very good.
And that was,
Yeah.
but it wasn't because of Rich Dad. It was cash flow.
Cash flow quadrant,
because he
yes.
was explaining
He went into
like
more detail.
where the house goes
Yes.
and is the house earning
Because
money for you.
an asset's supposed to bring money to your pocket
Yes,
every
and
single
not
month.
take it out.
Yeah. So a house, most people, and they spend so much money on getting a house. They all programmed to get a house, get a house, get a house. And when they get a house, it's a huge liability because it takes money from their pocket every single month. And that's their most major investment in their entire life.
Yes.
Their house. And it's a huge liability. But those who do cash flow, they realize they could make the house into an asset.
Yes.
So now they start renting out rooms in the house. I have one guy who has an apartment in
Well,
Currieff.
this man wants me to rent out my room in my house.
He rents out the other 2 rooms to Airbnb. And he has his room, he makes his US dollars, and he's a lawyer.
Awesome.
And his rental income makes more money than his salary.
Nice. We have to go on a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Andre a little bit more.
Sure.
You're going to give us some of your Beyond Payday tips?
Sure.
All right. Don't go anywhere, guys. This year is all about financial freedom. That's what we're aiming for. Welcome back to Care. If you're just joining us, we're talking finance and the family. And behind the scenes, when we went on break, we had a little squabble going on. And so I'm going to call them out on it.
Very good.
Andre is disagreeing with Roger and I, clearly. Or with Robert Kiyosaki. That's who he's disagreeing with.
Right.
Andre, house is not an asset.
A house is an asset. There may be some disagreement in terms of how it's classified, and I agree with Roger, in terms of the accounting definition of what an asset is. But a house is something that has asset value. You can invest in your house to grow the value of that house, and you can sell it for more value later on. So it is an asset, in my estimation. Does it cost you something? Of course it does. Most assets need to be serviced and maintained. But there's a residual value, and you have equity in a house that you can use and monetize it later on.
Right. The flip side is the house is an asset. It's just the bank's asset. An asset puts money into your pocket every single month.
But after you pay off the mortgage, it's not the bank's
after you pay off is a different story. But try not making those mortgage payments, and guess who takes back the house? The real owner of the house, because it's the bank's asset. On the bank's financial statement, income comes into their pocket every single month.
I'm listening.
Right? Now here's the trick. Now here's the next side of the story. After you pay off your mortgages, is your house an asset? Does money come out of your pocket every month, even if you pay off all your mortgages?
But in my case, it was something that it was definitely equity. It was something that I was able to sell and get money off of it. I did earn more. There was a profit, even if you calculate the length of time that I had it. There are people, well, I guess if you're flipping it, then it's not
most people want to live in their house. So their house doesn't make them any money.
That's why they buy it,
Yeah. So what happens when people do cash flow and they realize their house is actually not an asset, they turn it into an asset, which is a big difference. They
but
start
not
making
everyone
changes to
can
their life.
turn their house into an asset. I mean, I certainly cannot rent out rooms in my house.
But if you had to do your personal balance sheet of what your assets and liabilities are, you've paid off for your house already. A house will fall as an asset if you were...
Even though you have to pay bills every
if Marsha,
month.
whether you were renting, you still have to pay bills.
Right.
If Marsha was living in her house and Marsha was taking stock of Marsha's net worth, her house would be an important asset in determining Marsha's net worth, provided that she's paid it off.
Right. Very good. Very good.
I think both of you guys are coming from totally different
Yeah.
ways of thinking.
Because I'm an entrepreneur investor.
Right. And I'm gonna chime in.
Okay, very good.
But I'm gonna.
But
so
more from a econ finance background.
and I'm gonna let Andre speak for just a little bit.
Right.
Because you're a special person, Roger, in terms of, and I mean, we get
Not
along.
like Special Olympics, right?
No,
Okay.
but you're a special person in terms of not everyone has that business mindset.
Right.
And that is a whole mindset change. That's a big switch to get someone totally away from the employee mindset into the self-employed
As such,
mindset.
more people have to make
So, but there are so there are two things that we need to talk about, right? There are those that are being laid off. What are their options? But then there are the ones who are employed in a recession, out of recession, in a boom. I know of people who earn lots of money and have no money when the month comes.
Well, so
it's called just over broke.
Yeah, so the amount of money you earn, and I've found this to be true. Usually what happens, right, is that the more money that you earn, and this is a problem that most people have, is that they adjust their lifestyle to meet their income, which is terrible.
Right.
Because you always, and this is a truism of life as well. As soon as if you want something, the only difference that separates it from being a need is your ability to afford it. So if Marsha wanted a pair of shoes, Marsha could desire the pair of shoes all she wants, but if she doesn't have the money to buy it, Marsha can't have those shoes.
Great example.
So
Marsha loves shoes.
Exactly. Know you so well. so psychologically, the shoe is a want.
Marsha, how expensive are those shoes?
Right.
But don't get me started. I only use $100 things. People know me because I tell you I'm a saver. I'm a cheapo.
So psychologically, the shoe is a want in Marsha's mind. As soon as Marsha gets the income, it becomes a need. I need to have the shoe because now you have the power to purchase those shoes. And it happens to everyone who earns more, which is why oftentimes people who get a massive tranche of money go broke.
Yep.
Because they haven't adjusted psychologically to deal with this large tranche of money handed to them.
Yep.
People who get bonuses, people who get lump sums, people who get golden handshakes from their jobs,
Yep.
they oftentimes, if they haven't grown their ability to handle more money, which is why people get promotions over time and their income is stepped. This is for the working class, of course. So you gradually learn to deal with more money. Some people are hardwired for dealing with lots of money off the bat.
But
And
some people, as you said it, right? They earn more and they just spend more. So they still end up at the end of the month
having no money.
Right.
And
Still
that's
not
because-
saving. So what can they do? How do we work on that?
So the first thing is they need to figure out where their money is going. Right?
It going in,
Because if you
it
don't know-
going in higher purchase,
Right.
it going in more rent.
This is why
because
financial
instead
education
of,
is so important.
Instead of
Exactly.
doing a $2,000
And
house, they
I
do a
think-
$5,000 house.
I think this is where Roger and I have common ground.
Right.
I do believe that financial education is important. Way more than some of the other vocations that people are taught.
Way more.
Simply because they don't teach you how to do these things in school.
Well, teach me. You have 2 minutes. What is the
Right.
first step that someone can do to get a handle on,
I think
on their income?
to keep it very simple, you need to figure out how much income you're earning and where your money is going. And even if you say, listen, I'm going to track this for 1 month.
Okay, walk me through how am I tracking it?
All right.
Because
Because it's
what are the groups? What are the groups then and how we can
so
track it?
Think about how you live, right? You get paid. Forget the taxes that come off.
Right.
You have no control
So
over
this
that.
is this
you
is
have
what
a,
I
you have,
take
you have,
home.
you have, you
So I'm
have,
taking home $10,000.
Right. So you have 10,000.
So I have
right?
$10,000.
I have a simple way of doing this. I call it the 50, 30, 20 rule.
50, 30, 20.
Right. So think about your income as a pizza, right? Like one big pizza pie.
Right. Okay.
Half of that should go to life, to cost of survival. What I call
Covering
cost
your
of-
expenses.
Right.
Right. So cost of survival.
Right.
That's not a half, but
That is that.
just pretend. So that's 50%.
I knew Marsha wasn't good at that.
No, not at all.
So
So cost of survival.
right. So your expenses.
Right. But cost of survival in
Mandatory. Mandatory.
But you
No, no.
have to pay rent. But then
Those
you,
are expense-
but
right.
then but then you decide instead of saying that you were fine with that house, you end up going and spending on a bigger house that you didn't really need. So your cost of survival goes up.
Just make sure you ask me the same question after you finish.
No problem.
So let's deal with what we're working on right
The
now.
pizza.
Okay,
Right.
the pizza. So cost
So
of survival is 50.
50%, right? So you never want your cost of survival, your rent, your whatever bills you have, to exceed 50% of your
Gotcha.
salary.
Understood?
Your car loan, your mortgage, whatever it is, should never cross 50% of your salary. After you've literally separated that money, you have 20% for saving and you have 30% discretionary.
Okay.
Right?
What's
So
discretionary?
discretionary would mean
That's where I could go and buy my shoes.
right. So if you wanna hang out, if you wanna spend time with friends, you wanna go to the movies, you wanna go to a nice restaurant, you wanna buy your shoes and your fancy handbags, right? Now the key to this is that if you think about your income that way, it confines you to living within your means.
Right.
Because if you've separated 50% and additionally,
So that way, even if I do want to get a bigger house, once the bigger house can fit within the new
You know why?
50%, then that's fine.
and let me tell you why, because the bank is going to do the same assessment of you anyway. They're going to say
Right.
your mortgage should never be 30% or 40% of your income anyway.
Right.
So you should do it for yourself and prepare yourself mentally before you go to buy a house or a car, whatever it is. So once you do this, you oftentimes realize that there's a tremendous amount of waste in certain areas. Because if you've separated your income and you realize that 50% of your expenses are going here, and that, wait, why am I spending so much
Why am I still
on
have no money at the end
why
of
do
the
I
month?
have to spend X thousands of dollars on rent when I'm living on my own, I'm a single person, I have a 3-bedroom, why don't I live in a 2-bedroom and scale down as one? I'll get to that, Roger. Give me 1 second. Finishing up now.
And then we're gonna go on a break, and then Roger will have his segment.
And then you have your 30%, which you may find, why am I spending so much time going out and entertaining and on restaurants, and I'm wasting money here? And you're conscious of it. So when you do that, you realize that you can actually shift the money around and save more. But you need a framework, and that's the problem that most people have, right? They don't have a framework.
So
for
they're
how
not even
to-
aware of where their money is going.
because they have no framework to guide how they treat their income. And it just disappears. because they get it and they just start doing everything and we pay this, we pay that, we pay that. And then it's like, why do I have no money? Because you've never taken the time to figure out your lifestyle and how to manage income and manage your lifestyle around your income.
I like that. Guys, we're going to go on a break. When we come back, actually when we come back, we have Science with Jess. Then Roger's going to tell us how to get financial freedom. Don't go anywhere, guys. Science with Jess, sponsored by ICANN, is next. Hi, welcome back to Care. We're going to go straight into Science with Jess, sponsored by ICANN.
So, you went to that fete last night, or? You didn't go? You didn't get any tickets?
No.
I tell Rachel to call you. She didn't call you?
No.
That woman, boy, I tell you, I don't understand her at all, you know. Hey!
What are y'all talking about?
Well, now, that's not your business, all right? His business and my business is our business. All right? So, welcome back to the ship. How are you doing today?
Good.
You good? You don't seem happy. What's wrong? I love this. That's just wonderful. Okay, moving on. So, today on the ship, we're going to be learning about absorption. Do you guys know what absorption is?
We know what absorption is.
Oh, do you? Well, what is absorption?
Is it absorption? Is it absorption?
Very good. I'm thoroughly impressed. So, anyhow, you remember one of the other times when she visited, we spoke about osmosis? And remember, that's how plants fed? That's how plants got water and nutrients? Well, osmosis is one of the methods by which absorption happens. Absorption is also how we get our food. When we eat, it goes in our stomachs, and our stomachs absorb the nutrients, right? So essentially, absorption is when one material gets completely engulfed by another, right? So today, what we're going to do is we're going to show you, we have two different liquids here. These are not for drinking, all right? Gil. So, these are not for drinking, and what we're going to do is we're going to show you how a liquid, you just don't listen, eh? She's just like Rachel. Same thing, just like Rachel.
No, I want to smell it.
How's it smell? Good?
Smells like plum.
Okay, well. Okay, so you guys ready to start the experiment?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, did that hurt?
Yes.
Oh, well. So, anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to take two different kinds of absorbers. One is thicker than the other, so it shows the thicker one will make it harder for the liquid to come up, and the thinner one, it will move up quicker. These are very similar to what cave women used back in the day for absorption, so remember that, a little bit of history. So now, what we're going to have to do to make this work, no, you're going to have to come on this side. Oh, you want the red one, don't you? Yeah, you want the red one? Should we give her the red one?
I don't know, because this one is lighter than this one.
That's your reasoning?
Yeah.
No? All right, let's give her the red one. All right, so, no comment. So we're going to have to go at exactly the same time. You guys are going to have to submerge at exactly the same time. And you're just going to submerge just the tip. Okay? 1, 2, 3, go. Hold it in there. You got to hold it in there. Hold it in there. Look how the liquid moves up. See? That's right. Look how much higher it's gotten in this one than it is in that one. That's because this one is thinner and the liquid moves up faster. It has less space to fill. Right? So if you guys just leave it there, you'll see how it'll eventually move all the way up. So let's just drop those guys in there.
This one is getting a lot faster.
Yeah.
No.
Don't push it. Don't push it. Look, this one is like actually getting so filled, it's melting and falling into the glass. This one's still standing up. So you see, all that liquid being absorbed and filling up all the little spaces in the absorbers. This one's practically done. This one's still got a little way to go again.
That one's done. It's going through.
There you go. This one's all finished. He's all absorbed.
And it's going all the way up here.
Yeah, all into the little handle and everything else. So that's exactly like what happens in our stomachs when we eat. That's how plants get all their food.
Ew.
Yeah. And that's what happens when you put a sponge, when you make a mess at home. That's when you put a sponge on it. This is exactly what happens. So,
I'll soak up all the stuff.
all the stuff. So,
This. Oh my gosh, my already ripped.
see, that one fell apart. It has so much, it wasn't as thick as this one.
Can I see this one?
So, that's our experiment on absorption today. I hope you guys learned a
Yeah,
lot.
because look at this one. This one is already.
Yeah. So I'm just going to leave you guys to play with that. Nobody drink it because, you know, we don't have any emergency medical service on the spaceship. And
It's just a spaceship.
exactly. And we'll see you guys next time, right? Bye.
Bye, Jesse. Let's.
You're going to talk to her, call the woman. Yeah, go handle her.
Let's go.
Handle your business, big man. Handle your big business.
What are y'all talking about?
Welcome back to Care. We are aiming for financial freedom in 2018. To lead us off with the boom for the year, we have Andre and Roger. Andre, you ready?
Wrong.
Roger, I'm messing up my guys here on set.
Okay, so Andre mentioned about the pizza.
Yes, he
and
did.
50% goes towards your
Survival,
expenses for
yes.
survival. And then 30% goes to discretionary. 20%
And 20
goes to
savings.
savings. Okay, now that's a really good plan. Now, at Cash Flow Club, which is Robert Kiyosaki's invention, we teach people how to make more money. That's what we do. Not just cut back your expenses and budget, but also make more money. And how most people do it is by having multiple sources of income. So we don't just look at the pizza slice, we want more pizza.
Agreed,
Catch
but
it.
I mean, that can carry you down a really dangerous route.
All right, so
because
here's-
you have to have a good quality of life.
So here's
And we
here
can't
it
be
is.
working
You
non-stop.
must have a good quality of life.
And there must be a place where you stop.
so you don't
and
want-
it becomes enough.
So you don't want to change your lifestyle.
Okay.
Right? Of course, you have to cut back on your expenses. So what because at Cash Flow we say JOB stands for just over broke. Here's why.
But not
Because
everyone can be an
most
entrepreneur.
people, well, everybody can have multiple sources of income. Not everybody can be an entrepreneur. That's why we also teach investing as well as entrepreneurship.
Which is something that we can discuss.
Everybody needs to learn how to invest. Every single human being.
I agree.
We live in a capitalist
Okay.
world. If you don't understand capitalism, which is what should be taught in the education system, you don't have a fighting chance. That's why most people. That's why most people are broke. They're just dependent on their one source of income, and that being their salary. And that's a very, very, very risky way to live. And that's what
And you agree with
everybody's
that too.
doing.
Oh yeah,
So
they're agreeing.
our, our entire education system is designed to produce employees who just focus on getting a salary. But when we meet with engineers and managers, even at financial institutions, and we look at their financial statements, even if they're making $35,000, $45,000, and $55,000 a month, when they pay off all the expenses every month, they're left with about a couple $100 to pay around
Nothing.
with.
Yeah.
Because they're just over broke.
Well,
One
because they're
source of
not
income.
following his pie. You see, if they were following his pizza,
No.
I don't like pie, so we're gonna call it a pizza. If they were following his pizza, then they wouldn't be left with a couple $100 because if you're making 55,000, gosh, can we do 60? 60 might be easier math. Then you have 30.
You
going
always have
there.
to look at ways to increase your income and your income sources. And here's
That's
why.
fine, but he
because
said
you
he
have to
agreed
invest.
with he agreed with investing. So where would your investment go in the pizza? 30 or 20?
Let me kind of segue something here. I agree with Roger that you should look at ways to increase your income.
Right.
I think before you do that, you should look at how you're managing your current income.
Of course.
Right? So
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. That
So he's like step number 2.
Yeah.
So after you have managed the
Right.
first income,
Because you
after you
can't-
can handle what you have,
Right.
then let's look at making more.
That's logical. You have to do it.
So you have to, and which is why I say that you have to have a framework, right? And the same framework that you approach managing your lifestyle with is the same framework that I would suggest.
I like that word framework because, you know, look opticians, my sponsor.
Yeah. If that's not a shameless plug.
At least they're paying the bills.
Exactly. Yeah, so she should.
Look optical.
So I think you need to have a framework to approach your lifestyle. Then you need to have a framework to approach your investing. right?
Okay.
And those principles should guide how you deal with income, how you deal with your money, how you deal with multiplying money. Because the whole purpose of investing in the first place is to multiply money, right?
Multiply it, yes.
So you work from.
Well, I guess Roger gives that framework because
Of
not everyone understands how to create the
But
framework.
the next topic of discussion is, what do you invest in?
Right.
Okay.
So Roger and I may approach this from two totally different
Completely
angles.
different angles.
when it
But
comes
in
to
the end, y'all reach the same place.
because there's realistically speaking, there's no right and wrong way here. It's just a matter of perspective, right? And
Yes.
preference.
Yes.
Perspective and
I
preference.
feel like I need to beg. Can I ask permission to go on a break? Don't go anywhere, guys. When we come back, it is Dear Marsha, sponsored by Look Opticians. Welcome back to Care. We're going to jump straight into Dear Marsha. Dear Marsha is where we hear from you, our viewers. Thank you, Look Opticians, for giving our viewers a chance to write in so that we can have our panel answer their questions. Dear Marsha, brought to you by Look. This is my question that I get, I think, the second most. Dear Marsha, I want to leave my job and be a full-time mom. I don't know where to start. Can you help me? I'm not going to help you guys today. I get a break from helping you guys today. They're going to help you all.
So she wants to leave her job
To be a full-time
to be a
mom.
full-time mom. Before one leaves their job, I would assume that one has a plan. Because to be a full-time...
No, because she wants to know where to start.
Well, she should start with a plan. I would suggest that's the start, right? It's a noble intention, by the way, to be a full-time mom. I think being a full-time mom is an extremely honorable thing to do, especially in this time where women are becoming larger and larger segments of the labor force. So that's an honorable thing that she's doing there. I would suggest that she has a plan. I would suggest that she has some sort of savings or buffers or investments, hopefully, before she makes that leap.
What kind of investments?
Right. We'll get to that. And I always encourage people to go after their dreams. Keep your head in the clouds, with your feet firmly planted on the ground. Because you need to be able to live, you need to be able to survive. If the survival means having to, I don't know, have others to help you out along the way, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're working towards your own goals. So I always say, start with a plan. I would hope that she has some income saved, because it's going to be a little bit tough, provided that she has no supporting mechanisms around her to carry her through a little bit, and go for it.
Ask me the same question.
Well, you know you heard it.
Okay, good. All right. So first step, definitely read Richard Poddard as your first step. You have to apply what you learn. I know reading is not that effective. We only remember 10% of what we read. That's why we have cash flow clubs now to use simulations, right? First step, read Richard Poddard. Educate yourself financially, because you're going to have to invest in something. Yes, have a buffer. You need a buffer, a financial buffer, right? But second step, learn to sell. If your goal is to start a business, if you want to have control over your time, if you have a child, you really want to have control over your time. If you have a job, you have no control over your time. You know, a good first step before you start a business, get into the sales profession. That's a very good advice, because the number one skill in business is your ability to sell.
Agreed.
And if you look at the top business owners of Trinidad and Tobago, not just the world, of Trinidad and Tobago, they all started off in sales. They all went door-to-door selling cloth, door-to-door selling insurance, like Cyril Dupree. They all start off in sales. That's your first major step after
Because a lot of people think that being in sales is really just like that hard selling. But in everything, we sell ourselves.
Everybody's in sales.
You have to pitch a proposal to an investor, that's selling yourself.
Yeah.
So that is some sort of
Andre's in
advice
sales
getting
too,
sales.
you know.
I am.
Everyone has
Marsha's in sales.
Yeah,
Look up
well,
yeah. They will not look up the colors in sales too.
Yes. Yeah.
Everybody's selling something.
Everybody's selling.
We all have to sell ourselves.
That's why a lot of people, even though network marketing is not my thing personally, a lot of people in network marketing become very successful in business after, because they get real business skills.
Yes.
They learn to sell.
I actually
they learn
do
to work in teams.
believe in that. I actually do say that anyone who wants to go into business, because I do get this question very often, because of course I'm a full-time mom, so people always look to say, you know, like, how did you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it? And the first thing that I did before I left my job was actually get into network marketing.
Right.
And I found that did, of course, once you get into a good team where there is a lot
You
of
need to
personal
be in a good team,
development.
yes.
You know, you have to, I say your business grows as fast as you grow.
Yeah.
So you have to be committed to personal growth.
Yeah.
And I do actually like network marketing for that growth and teaching you financial freedom. and stuff
When
like
people
that.
come to cash flow, especially network marketers, they shine like the stars because they have a sales background. Anybody with a strong sales background that does cash flow, they go all out. In fact, they don't even finish the course before they start their first or second business. They go all out and they push and they hustle hard, right? It does give people a huge advantage, right? But people without a sales background, they do a lot of progress. They make a lot of things happen, but not as fast as somebody with a strong sales background. So you have to learn to sell first. Only then you can pursue your passion through a business. That's the best way. Getting paid for something you love to do is awesome. You know,
Yeah.
I'm one of those. I started off Cash Flow Club doing free sessions for the first 4 years, every weekend. I love what I did until my mom experienced it and she's like, no more free sessions. And we had to turn it into a business.
Right.
And we ended up buying a franchise. We became an official Cash Flow Club and we started charging for our sessions. I had a lot of fun making money from doing something that I love. Now,
But
a
as
couple
you
of
said,
years,
you do have to have a plan first. You do have to have some buffer.
yes,
You have to have
but you need the
a
skills
way
to
of-
succeed
and then you need
because you don't
skills
just
as
want to go
well.
broke with a child to take care of.
Agreed.
Because sales equals income.
Okay.
And then finance is the language of business.
Correct.
If you're not financially educated, this is why this book is so important and so powerful. This is supposed to be in our education system. This is supposed to be in every university course because this is why people are getting educated in the first place, to go out there and make money, earn a salary.
There are other books. There are other books.
I mean, I was going to say that, but
What are some other books then?
I mean,
Think and Grow Rich is one.
Think and Grow Rich is a good one that you should read.
So I read a lot. I'm a big reader, and there are a number of books that I've read.
Give me top 5 books that we should go and buy to start 2018.
So I read finance books.
That is a good book. Dale Carnegie actually has a sales course.
Yes, I did it.
I did it.
It changed
did
my
that.
life.
Yes, I did that.
I'm now their competitor because I have a sales course now. Another powerful book is 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Because leadership and sales is basically
Maxwell
the
is a
same
good
thing.
author.
Yeah, but How to Influence and Influence People by
But
Dale
Andrew was
Carnegie.
telling us his
powerful.
first 5.
No, I mean, go ahead.
His top
yeah.
5.
Yeah. What's your,
Andrew, what's
are
your
your top 5 in that?
Those are not in my top 5, but my top 5 will be a little bit different. So I like I said, I read heavy finance, heavy investing books. So
Right.
it'll be not what the
Entrepreneur read.
no the entrepreneur will read
just
it.
the average guy.
Yeah, it's not gonna be for the average
Call
person.
Leaf top 5. Let's hear it.
Right. So I read books. Warren Buffett, The Intelligent Investor.
Right.
I read.
That's Benjamin Graham. the
Ben
Intelligent
Graham.
Investor.
Correct.
Yeah.
But that's not an easy book to read.
No.
That's on
Right.
stocks.
But even Warren Buffett is not an easy
I read-
person to follow.
Yeah.
I
You know,
disagree.
You find?
I disagree.
I
I
find
disagree.
Let me
We
tell
teach
you
us
why.
investing style.
Let me tell you
I
why.
find he a little bit difficult as a
No.
mom just trying
Oh, wait,
to
but-
be a
but-
full-time
but-
mom.
I disagree.
Okay.
And the reason why I disagree is because I think principles span generations, span
Okay.
race, span time.
Okay.
And if you distill his principles,
He's a man of principle.
you can apply them. The problem is that people look at him as being up here, but the way he got up there was from applying his own principles in his own life.
Okay.
So I don't think that he's
Warren
What would be
Buffett-
your,
Warren
what would be
Buffett
your
invests
top
in
book for the
businesses.
easy book?
top book for the easy book.
The easy book. A book for us to start, man.
A
We gotta
tough
start
one.
somewhere.
Where would you start? Where would you start?
If someone say I want to be a full-time mom, what's the first one you're giving him?
I mean,
If
I
you
think,
don't
I think,
name
I think,
one,
I
then-
think, I think, no, Marsha, let's go back. I think The Richest Man in Babylon is a great start.
It's a good book.
I think that's a great
Yay,
start.
my book became.
I think it's a great start.
it's a great start.
Yeah.
What about your number 2 and your number 3 top books?
Of course,
So like I said, I
went
have-
through all
no,
that
no,
to
I
get the
can-
first
no.
one. Now we're going to one.
So I read, like I said, I've read Intelligent Investor.
Right.
I've read The Wisdom of Finance by a Columbia University professor. I've read The Most Important Thing by a guy named Howard Marks, which talks about markets and how to be attuned. I've read Your Money and Your Brain by Jason Zweig. All of these are books that intersect psychology and investing. And the most important thing that I have found, and people ask me this all the time, right? Like, what's the single most, if you had to tell anybody anything about money?
Wait then, hold up with that. We're gonna hear his number one tip when we get back. Don't go anywhere. His number one tip is coming up next. Welcome back to Care. It is a bittersweet moment because today is the last day that I could have up my Christmas decorations. It's the last day that I could run around saying it's the most wonderful time of the year, and now Christmas tip is done. So give me my time to be excited one last time. Guys, Care Christmas tip lost. It's the final weekend before the lights come down. Put on some comfy shoes and walk along a well-decorated neighborhood. Enjoy an ice cream around the savannah while the grandfather clock chimes. Splash about in the sea and sand. It's God's gift to our nation. Inhale the ocean and exhale the negativity. Take a drink in a panyard while learning a thing or two. Soak in the pitch lake, canoe in the River Swamp, and hike to Avocat. This year, cook by a river and be sure to share with passers-by. Spend nothing but time enjoying your loved ones in a paradise full of free adventures. Lots of ways to have fun this year, free of charge, and even past Christmas. We have to start a wrap-up, guys.
Sure. So I was going to give you
Yes, you were.
my tip,
Your tip.
right? And I think the biggest thing, and people ask me this all the time, like, what's the one thing you could, if you had to tell me anything about managing money, what's the one thing you tell me? And I say, manage your emotions. That's the most important thing. If you can manage your emotions and your impulses, you do very well at managing money. The people who manage their money best are the people who control their emotions best. So like I said, they have a
We actually agree. Cheers.
It must be a new year. The people who manage, like I said, the people who manage their money best manage their emotions well. And once you have control of yourself and control of your impulses, you oftentimes know what is the right thing to do with your money.
I like that. Control your emotions, control your money.
Correct.
Roger.
Well, in addition to that, so I agree 100% with Andre. You must learn to control emotions because sometimes, especially during recession, emotions goes out of whack and you do impulse buying and all kind of thing. But again, my most important tip is invest in yourself. Invest in yourself first before you start investing out there because you want to invest in your financial education and you also want to learn to sell. Learning to sell, selling is the number one skill in business and investing. The number two skill is, of course, your ability to read financial statements and investments. And most people don't know how to read financial statements and investments. They don't know the income statement, balance sheet, and how it relates to each other. They don't understand how to calculate return on investment. That's a huge one because that's the most important formula in life and in business. Return on investment. And that's why we get in trouble in national TV because we say straight up, you need to earn at least a 30% return. And if you talk to institutional investors, they'll be like, huh?
What?
Yeah. Status quo.
30%?
Yeah. So we aim for 30% return on over on every
We need to have a
investment.
second session, Marshall. We
Yes.
need to
go into a lot more
We
details.
need to have wow. Okay.
Because your specialty will be paper assets, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and all that stuff. We focus on real estate and business. We do paper assets, but only with excess cash.
No, real estate is an asset class that one could invest in.
Yes.
So I don't have a problem with real estate.
Okay, so our number one tips would be self-control, manage your emotions, and
Invest in
yourself. I
First.
actually really like those two.
And I think those two kind of go
They
together.
go together,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
I mean, self-control is necessary for everything. You know, if it is that I decide I want to do school today, I have to be able to control. I always say don't go with motivation, go with discipline, right?
Correct.
Because people go, I don't feel to go today. I don't feel. If you wait on motivation, it may never come.
Correct.
How about we just be disciplined and get up and do what you have to do? So I do like that whole, control yourself, self-control, invest in yourself.
Very much
I
so.
always say your business will grow as fast as you grow.
Yep.
Be committed to
Correct.
growing every single day.
Yep.
In fact, that was our only as night tip, you know, like I
Right.
had said, be committed, resolve to stop having resolutions.
Correct.
Because everybody sits with all these resolutions at the beginning of the year and then they go out the window by the first month.
Yep.
How about you just start small, one new push-up every day, one new step every day.
You always have to take
Consistent,
action.
Constant growth
Yeah.
every single day.
And I think what also freaks a lot of people out in terms of money management is that they have this big goal, right, which is great, and
But
you should
when start
always
small.
right, and you need to incrementally get there. So I always tell people get wealthy slow, because it's the easiest way to hold on to that wealth.
Oh, I agree. Cheers. Hey, I
On
love
that
that.
note, guys.
Whoa.
On that note, see you next week, guys, for another episode of Care.
This episode was brought to you by Target Corned Beef and Naturally Almond.